I've been thinking. I'm going to try to keep this to about 5 minutes, and I'm probably going to speed talk, and I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Um, I thought of a few things last night. Okay? Number one, you can only love other people and love other things. You can only love out as much as you love in. If you don't, you have got to romance yourself. You've got to fall in love with yourself. It's a must. I'm sorry. You have to do it. I mean, if you don't recognize that, you know, for all these people, the self-help and the life coaching, and they all want to be better, you've got to open up your heart, as scary and terrifying that is, and not necessarily to other people, but to yourself. You have to do it for yourself. Fall in love with yourself. Romance yourself. Do what makes you happy. I think that's what that means, right? And the other thing is, because there are, you know, a lot of life coaches and therapists, though not so much anymore, but definitely life coaches and self-help and this big craze. Uh, you know, people are so used to being talked at, right? They get talked at all the time. I read a statistic that said something like 70% of the United States population comes from abuse. They are abused people, right? We have a nation of abused people. I'm sure this is probably true worldwide to some degree too. Sorry. And so you have a large portion of the population that reacts instead of responds, especially to more aggressive personality types. You know, and the aggressive doesn't always mean bad. It's just to abused people, it's aggressive. Anyway, so you have all these abused people. You know, empathy says that, like, well, fuck, I have my own abuse, and you know, I've learned how to love myself through that. And so you have to also show with reaction. If somebody, you have to think of other people like 6-year-olds. And if somebody responds in a way, if they show their ass or they say something that you don't like, or, you know, you have every right in love. This is tough love, people. Love isn't all rainbows and butterflies and, you know, sparkles, glitter. You know, tough love. Tough love is standing firm in decency and grace. And we do that with kids. We take time to not only explain it to them, but to also show. But you have a lot of people nowadays that haven't seen that. They haven't witnessed that. They don't get to experience it firsthand. People tell them, they talk at them, you know, and then we wonder why, like, they're not getting better, right? And so the first step in getting better is to love yourself. But when it comes to people who, if you're aware that life is a grand dance of cycles, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. If you can see someone else struggling, if you know they're responding because they, hate this term, but for now, this is how we're going to use this, they vibrate at a lower frequency, then it is your responsibility to show that grace and turn something that's a reaction moment into a respond moment, into something that has grace and decency, right? Somebody talks to, you know, your loved one and you don't like it, rather than puffing up and being intimidating and using fear, your own fear really, to demand respect from the other person, you can think about like a grandpa, right? A grandpa or an elder that would come in and go like, no, that's not right. That's not how we treat people. We do that with little kids. That's not how we treat people, right? But somehow, as people become adults, we think that suddenly they're supposed to have understood all of this. And, you know, that's just not the way the world works. And so it's our responsibility to stop, don't react, breathe, and respond in a way that makes it a teachable moment. And that you show others by your actions, by standing up for yourself in loving ways. It teaches other people to do that, and then they're not so butthurt and pointing fingers and being divided. And you couple that with the first thing I mentioned, and you start to see real change. I just wanted to get that out there, and I did. It's 4 minutes and 37 seconds, because I rock.